Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Unboxed Live. I'm your host, Rob Gagne. Thank you, Benny, for holding down the fort. I'm a little excited. I'm going to be a little bit off my game because I have 5 cigars going. And out of the 5 cigars, I've only got 3 lit so far. And I'm super excited because typically I just get to smoke 1 cigar on the podcast. And now I get to smoke 5. And this project to me is really cool. So what is the project, right? Anyone following along? Luxury Cigar Club came out with this, which is called Cigar University. And there's going to be multiple of these, but this one is Binder 101. What the heck is the binder, man? Back in the days when I started smoking cigars, I had no idea what really was the whole construction of a cigar. Obviously, you have filler tobacco. Then you have like a binder that holds all that together. And then you have the beautiful wrapper on the outside. And oftentimes what I've learned is that the binder can be as important as the wrapper because sometimes it's just wrapper leaf that doesn't look good. And here we get to check the binder's flavor or what it does to the blend when you have 5 different types. I think that's one of the coolest things ever because I always love to learn what's going on with cigars, how to, I guess, hone my palate a little bit better. And I guess this to me isn't necessarily something where I'm like, am I tasting the right flavors out of this binder? I think the more important thing is to go, all 5 of these cigars are slightly different, or maybe 3 of these cigars are similar in pepper and spice, and 2 of them are just completely and totally different. Whatever you come up with is kind of like your own take on what that binder does to this blend. And I think that's the fun part. In the side wings, I have Ben from Luxury Cigar Club and Nimmer from Valakari Cigars. So Ben and Nimmer, welcome to the show. Thank you for carving out some time on your Fridays to get with us. Ben,
No, whenever you want. Thanks for having me.
yeah, Ben.
Thanks for having us.
Nimmer, you are with Valakari Cigars. You are the person or the company behind blending all of these for Ben over at Luxury Cigar Club, correct?
Yes.
And if anyone noticed, the label is very much your brand, where it's, I think your MK, and you have so many different blends that kind of have this really cool, almost like a prescription label kind of a look to it. It's like very text forward, very, here's what's inside.
Scientific.
Yes, scientific. Perfect way to put it.
Yeah,
Thank you, Ben.
all of our packaging has very direct, simple, packaging. It just tells you exactly what to expect. We don't make it too fancy. Just simple, straight to the point.
Well, that's perfect. Well, obviously in the description, you guys can read what Luxury Cigar Club put up on this whole, I guess, Ben, explain exactly the Cigar University project. Why? Why are we bringing that to your customers?
Okay, that's a very good question, and it goes back to who we are and what our club is about, and mostly what our members are all about. So, eh, I don't feel, or we don't feel it in the LCC doesn't feel that our customers are the run of the mill cigar smokers that will just grab a cigar. They'll be like, oh, this is tasty or not tasty, or just random. Basically, what we are and what our group is about is a little more in depth. So our members are big cigar enthusiasts. So everything that there is to smoke, the same way we want to experience, they do, and they experience a huge array of cigars from all throughout the spectrum. But one thing that was missing, you can improve your palate and you can improve your understanding, and you can read about the companies and you can read about different blends and such. But in some cases, very hard to elevate your skill a little bit because the tools are missing. And that's one thing that I wanted to do for a while, was to create a tool where we can actually identify different leaves. You know, a lot of people say, "Oh, I only like Nicaraguan cigars," or this wrapper. I only smoke Maduro, or this and that. And in some cases, you know, for them, they're absolutely right. But why? What is the difference between every component or every region or every country that produces tobacco, and what does it do for you as a smoker? So the only way to really learn that is experience it, and that's basically the premise behind the project.
I love that because I totally agree with you on the fact of like, okay, what tools are out there for me to grab and really understand what blending cigars really means or what cigars on my palate means. I don't really care which way you look at it. I mean, you can look at it either way, but either way, it's an interesting, uh, I guess it's an interesting paradigm or interesting way to look at cigars. I want to know more of how this particular leaf or construction makes a difference to my smoking experience. And I love the fact that you put this out there because none of this is anywhere else. And it's a true treat because, as if you want to start your own brand, you can definitely do that and probably have this experience. But if you don't want to start your own brand and you just want to learn, I'm so thankful that you guys are bringing this out to the market because now I can learn these 5 different binders, what they mean and how they interact on my palate.
That's awesome. I appreciate you saying that, because that was the goal, really, to have people that are curious about this sort of thing have a way to do it. And again, it's exactly that. It's all about your palate. You received 5 cigars. You're probably not going to love all 5 cigars. They're not going to be, amazing, because we're just changing one component. And what basically what a blender does when he creates a cigar that he wants to release is play with all these components until he finds the perfect mix, the perfect measure of each leaf that provides the correct experience for him to box and put out. And in this case, we're just basically going kind of through the blending experience with different types of leaves in there to see what we like better. And that's it. Then we go to the next component and figure out what that is.
Okay, so I guess my first question when I picked this whole project up is, does the binder play an important role in flavor? Nimmer, can you speak on this because of the blending process? Because we were talking earlier and you can say yes or no. I mean, it's not a definite answer, right?
Yeah, it depends on the tobacco. So, I mean, some binders make a big difference. Some binders, barely change the blend. So if you think about the wrapper, certain wrappers add a lot to the blend. If you think of like darker Maduro, San Andres, it almost it almost over sometimes it can overpower a blend. And the binder's not that much different. I mean, the binders has always been overlooked as just something that holds the cigar together, but it's another tobacco, just like anything, just like the filler, just like the wrapper. So, but it depends on the characteristics of that tobacco itself. So, if it's very thin, if it's comes from a region that doesn't have strong tobacco, soil is a thing. I mean, all these different things can impact whether that tobacco is harsher, stronger, lighter, smoother. I mean, there's all of these different characteristics, and those characteristics will pop up in your cigar. So if you grab like a thinner, maybe some Dominican binders could be a little bit thinner. It's not going to add much. It's just going to be, I'll just add a little bit to the blend, but it's really there for construction. If you grab something from Nicaragua, it's going to come off a little bit stronger, and it's also per region. Depends on the farm, depends on the soil. All these different things impact it. And this project, what we did was the filler and the wrapper are the same, in each cigar. The only difference is going to be the binder. So, the difference is when you smoke them, the differences you're picking up are the differences in the binder. It's what's going to give you, if one cigar comes off a little bit stronger, one cigar comes off a little bit sweeter, smoother, those are going to be the binder. So it can be, it can have a big impact or it can have no impact on the blend.
Awesome. So my next question though would be, if the binder in this situation is making either a big impact or a little impact, the filler and the wrapper, do you feel like this blend is super neutral and it's not adjusting that binder's perspective or not?
Yes. So when we made the cigar, the base blend was as neutral as, neutral is, it's hard to say neutral because it has to have flavor characteristics. But the blend is not over, the filler part is not overpowered. So,
Got it.
You could add different wrappers and it would start to really, the differences would start to pop up. So when it's kind of hard to do that with Nicaraguan tobacco because generally speaking, it's a little bit harsher, it's a little bit stronger. But when you're working with when you blend it to be, try to make it as neutral as possible. So it's what we try to do. But if you were to smoke just the filler, just the tobacco that went into the filler, it wasn't very strong. It wasn't like it was kind of a little bit on the bland side. It wasn't like super flavorful. It was just
Not
kind of
overwhelming.
not overwhelming, exactly. So just to keep it as neutral as possible, but it allows the binder to kind of add that top layer to make a little bit of a difference every time.
Well, I
And that's
love
the
that.
beauty when you smoke them side by side, for example, and not one after the other. But when Chris and I first sat down with the first samples that we had and picked up the cigars and lit two of them and just took one and then took a puff from the other. I don't want to do the gesture. Anyways, it's trippy because you're smoking the same cigar with just one leaf that's been changed, and it's like totally different. And mostly the point of that is to be like, okay, if I'm smoking this leaf and if I'm smoking just another puff of this leaf, what is the difference? Is one saltier? Is one more peppery? What is the actual flavor that I'm getting for that? Is it hay from one of them, and is it more earthy from the other? And now I know that the jalapa leaf, it translates in my palate to this flavor. So next time I pick up a cigar and I recognize this flavor, I can say, okay, odds are that at least one of the components, likely the binder, is a leaf from this region. And that's the point of the experience of the experiment.
Right. When I first went through this, I smoked all 5 at the same time, and I had to Google do that one with the flavor map of your tongue was interesting to me because it's really, you only have like a few things to go off of, like sweet up front, sour and salty on the sides, and then bitter on the back.
So on the nose.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was really interesting to me because you're right, Ben, where it's like I couldn't believe that one could do something so different on my tongue versus the other with just the change of the binder.
Yeah, like Ben said, also keep in mind when you're retrohaling, right? So what you're looking at is really going to give you the essential, not notes, but the essential feelings you're going to get through your palate. However, when if you can retrohale, think about it this way: when you smell, whether it's a food item or a drink, when it smells good, it triggers a reaction that, hey, this is going to be enjoyable. So it can change the way your palate reacts to that, food or cigar or whatever it is. So retrohaling, I don't recommend doing it too much because you can really overdo it. But when you retrohale, it just gives you a little bit more. It gives you those nuances start to pop up. I always tell people when you're smoking a cigar, it's not like drinking wine or enjoying a steak. This is smoke. You're enjoying smoke. So the differences, the flavors are very subtle. They're not going to be like, you grab your favorite drink and it's like, okay, yeah, I can taste this, this, and this. It's a little bit, you have to train your palate a little bit more to get it to start picking up on certain things. And I'm not saying you're going to start picking up super, super complicated notes, but just to get the basics, retrohaling, if you can do it, it can help a lot.
It helps a lot. I'll actually compare it to something. You said wine or juice or whatever. Actually, I like to compare it to iced tea. When you go and you drink unsweetened iced tea and it's passion berry flavored or whatever. I like mango. There is no flavor. You're not really getting the flavors from your mouth at all. All you're getting is the nose flavors. Now, if you add sweetener to it, now you're gonna get those flavors through your mouth as well. Now it's gonna be a combination of it, and it enhances it a million times. But cigar smoking is more like an unsweetened drink. So if you have any traces of scents, they have to go through the nose to some degree. Because the mouth, again, like Rob showed very well, it will recognize sweet, sour, bitter, salty, and a few flavors, but most of the receptors are actually in our nose. And I think most people retrohale to some degree, even if they don't know, a little bit of the air. If you just blow out your nose after you took a puff of the cigar, you are still getting some of that smoke coming out your nose, even though very lightly, and you get those flavors out of it, or those notes.
Absolutely. For me, the most distinctive binder in this whole project was the Dominican. Just total night and day difference, at least on my palate. And I thought that was super interesting. And I don't really want to ruin this for anyone. I just want to give you enough of a teaser that's what happened to me, and that was amazing. And it was very helpful to learn that, just that total difference. And Nimmer, you had mentioned that the Dominican binder that you guys chose for this was a little bit less flavorful than some of the Nicaraguan binders that you chose, correct?
Yeah, it was a little thinner, but it's interesting because when you go through the box, you have one. They're all from Nicaragua except for the Dominican, and it's kind of a curveball because you're smoking the Nicaraguans, you're getting subtle differences here and there, but then the Dominican kicks in, and that's going to give you a very different experience because the tobacco is from a different country, different region, and different characteristics altogether. So I really was happy about putting that one in there because it really made the biggest difference. And you might like it more than the Nicaraguans or you might like it less. It all depends on what you like and what you enjoy.
Yeah, the rest of the Nicaraguans, the Jalapa Condega and Esteli and Ometepe, those ones were a little bit harder to distinguish what really is different. So I really had to like focus and hone in on those ones a lot more. But yeah, the Dominican, I appreciate you putting that in there because then it was like,
Subtle differences with the Nicaraguans for sure. They're
yeah,
much more subtle than the Dominican.
yeah, it was a slap in the face with the Dominican. I was like, whoa, here we go. This is what I was looking for. Okay, I'm on the right track. I know what I'm doing. Okay, I definitely am getting the experience I wanted out of this box. And again, I probably didn't give a good description of the box. Obviously, the box has the whole welcome and the explanation to this, and then the binders just on the outside. They're all listed there. They're also listed on the website. And once you open it up, of course, I've gone ahead and taken the cigars out of here. You get a sticker that says Cigar University Luxury Cigar Club. And then it's just simply a plastic bag with the cigars in it. And I've got them all lit up. They got 1 through 5 labels written on them. And this is the way I did it. Now, Ben, your video on YouTube with Chris said to light all of these at once and really go through and take a few puffs from each one, set it down, and go to the next one. And then you kind of keep doing that as you go through it. Would you feel like that's the best way to experience this? Or were you saying, Ben, that you like to just take 2 of them and compare them at one time and then that's it? And then the next day you come back to it for another 2?
You can do it whichever way you like. Some of the people did one at a day, and they would just sit down and write down what notes they got, what the experience was like, and then the next day you smoke another one and you write your experience with that one, and you compare the notes afterwards, and see those differences, or you just realize them immediately. For me, it was easier with two, just taking one and then the other, and being like, okay, just like you do when they test your eyes for glasses, and then they do what's better, one or two, and then you keep flipping through them, and then for me personally, it was easier to do to distinguish the different blends that way. You can go through all of them at the same time if you have the time to do it, and that's the way you want to do. So there's no wrong way to experience this box. Uh, Anybody that will smoke it, no matter how they smoke it, unless they smoke it a week apart and don't write anything, and just not take it as a educational experience, but just as a smoking experience, they might not experience those differences significantly or even at all if there's enough time between them. So it's just important to do it back to back, at least with a couple, maybe three. There are five cigars, so you can only do two twice. So two and three, uh, and again, even if you want to do one at a time, not an issue. You'll still get the same or pretty close experience.
Absolutely. Price point. Again, if you just go to the website and you're not a Luxury Cigar Club member, so reminder, Luxury Cigar Club members get 20% off everything on the website. So if you're a member, this retails at 60, you get 20% off. It comes in at 48, shipped to your door, no other shipping fees included, as well as the $60 shipped to your door. That's, if we go at $60, it's $12 a stick, which can kind of seem high. And I had that first impression right away. If you're a member, it drops it down to about $10 a stick. But ultimately, there's nowhere else out there that this exists. And there was only about 200 of these possibly made. So that's a small production. So thank you both for just investing the time and energy into this, because at 200 a pop, I can imagine that that's not very profitable. This is already kind of just like, hey, let's put this together for our members just so we can get it out the door and they can have a cool experience. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. I think you summarized it pretty well. It's not cheap. It's not a cheap 5 pack of cigars. I don't think it's expensive by any means. Even at $9.50, whatever they cost to members shipped. So it's not really expensive. The cigars that Nimmer makes and all the MKs and all the even the core lines now are not cheap cigars. They're not expensive. They're about the same price range. The materials that we used and the tobacco that we chose and the labor that was involved and the boxes and the design and everything for this really tiny run, more of an experimental run for the concept to see how we like it and how the members like it, and we go from there. Basically, of course, we're I'll steal this from Steve Saga. We're in the cigar business. It's a business. We have to make money. We're not a charity, even though we are doing this as really as just an enhancing experience or what was it? How do you call it? I'll think about it. Just a non certified. I forget the word. Anyways, it's not really expensive. It's not really cheap. It's really high end cigars that are well made, not just as a gimmick, but as a real sort of class.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's very specific, like you said, Ben, in the beginning. You know your clientele, and they are interested and experienced cigar smokers. And that interest, and if anyone's been smoking cigars for a while and you start reading about different blends, you immediately go, well, what does that mean? Why why does that make a difference? And this is bringing that to light to me. It makes a difference. And I love the fact that you guys have gone ahead and thought about, let's make the filler and the wrapper very neutral so that really highlights the binder. Of course, this may not be, like Ben, you said, you may not like some of these because, again, it's not a cigar that's blended to be a smash hit smokable blend. It's a cigar blended to make sure you understand that the binder's playing a role in the flavor of the cigar. And I love that. And as long as you go into it with that in mind, I don't think you're going to be disappointed with spending the 50, $60 on this package at all. I know I wouldn't be. From that perspective, though, Nimmer, did you have to be convinced to do this project? Because I imagine if I came to you, like Ben and some of the other guys over at Luxury Cigar Club, did you have to be convinced to do this, or was it kind of something you were like, yeah, that's actually valuable?
I mean, we're always experimenting all the time, and our factory is used to having nightmare projects that I throw at them. So it's like making a cigar that has a different, each blend has a different binder. I mean, when you look into logistics for cigar factories, I mean they are rolling the same blends, sometimes the same sizes over and over again, and these rollers are trained to make this a same blend, same cigar the same way. So when we're throwing these projects at them, it's always interesting. It's very challenging. But when they brought the idea, I'm like, this is phenomenal. I was very very excited about it. I didn't even call the factory to see if this was possible. I just called them up. I said, hey, here's what we're doing. We got this much time to do it. Let's just get it done.
I love that.
And yeah,
You didn't even ask for permission. You asked
I
for
didn't even
forgiveness
ask.
later.
I knew I was gonna get in trouble. They were gonna rollers are gonna roll their eyes, and people are gonna be it's gonna be very challenging for them. But we have a
So you're
phenomenal
catching
factory.
flack. You're catching flack from your
I'm
your
always catching
guys.
flag. I'm always catching flag. I'm having them do things that are just crazy. They don't make sense. They don't. I mean, it's crazy. But we're always experimenting. It's
I
all.
love
It's
that.
pretty much all we do.
Hey,
And
thank you for that, though. Thank you for
yeah,
falling on that sword for us, because otherwise, without it, we wouldn't have this experience.
yeah, it's definitely different. But
We paid
I
him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you had to pay
that's
him off
true.
pretty big. No, it's kidding.
But the other thing is, aside from the crazy logistics, the the opportunity for guy like when I got in the cigar business, I had really wished something like this was out there when I got started. It's a really really educational thing, and it's going to get people to be a little bit more. It's going to help their palates. It's going to get them to kind of learn more things about the cigar manufacturing process and all and the craft and all that stuff that goes into it. It's a phenomenal idea. It did not take any convincing. It was a great idea. I was honored to do it. I mean, so
That's
it was
awesome.
fantastic.
Well, I'm glad for that because, again, like you said, Nimmer, you experienced this probably more than a lot of any of us is blending cigars and what it takes. And so for you to say, "Hey, I wish something was like this out on the market before I even got into cigars," that's huge because that just means you're a big cigar enthusiast, we're big cigar enthusiasts, and we're kind of tracking on the same wavelength, and that's awesome.
So Nimmer was the perfect and easy way for me to go. We've done projects with Nimmer before. His cigars are great, and this is kind of his specialty. Smaller batches, experimental, interesting. The even like we mentioned the the way the labels are printed. It's exactly what we wanted to convey, which is this is gonna be educational. This is gonna be experimental. This is gonna be something that excites your intellect a little, not only your palate but your intellect as well, and that's what we were trying to bring to life,
Absolutely.
and I think it came out very good.
Couldn't agree
And
more.
Chris,
You guys, round of applause to you guys. Hats off to you for making this. Just now, like for me, when I get about an inch into the cigar, then I start retrohaling because the oils and sugars have started to heat up, and I feel like it's actually burning really, really well and smooth. So I don't know about you guys, but that's what I would give as advice to really start judging the cigar. I'd say once you're into the cigar about an inch, and then all the way through. That's the fun opportunity to keep going back and forth to these different blends and retrohale, cleanse the palate, water, sparkling water. I've heard almonds work. You guys use espresso as well at the factory. So all those things can help cleanse your palate, crackers, bread, stuff like that. What a fun project. Thank you so much for bringing this to us. I'm really glad that Nimmer didn't have any balking or any hesitation, and he just said, "Let's go, let's do this, let's bring this to the market." And
Yeah,
Luxury Cigar Club,
not only that, but he came up with a lot of his own ideas as well, and we're gonna do some more projects with him.
yeah, talk
And
about that, Ben. Are there other projects that you guys are going to do that are going to focus on more aspects of the cigar, like the
so right
wrapper
now
and
we're
filler?
exactly. So we're working on the 101 series, which would the next two that are the obvious ones will be the filler and the wrapper, and they will probably be a little more obvious when you smoke as well, because of course the filler is is the biggest part of smoking a cigar, and so you'll see when we're using the same wrapper binder just what a big difference that does. And the wrapper we know has a very big effect on the flavor because of the ratio that it has towards the blend itself, and those will be more in your face. And we're deep in these two projects already, and they'll be released not too long from now,
And that's with Nimmer.
hopefully. And that's with Nimmer.
All right, so the factory hasn't totally shut down on Nimmer's request. This is good. We know we have a green light. We're still going. We're
They
still being
did.
able
We
to do
went
this
to
project.
10 other factories till we found another one that was. No, I'm joking.
Awesome. Well, I don't want to spoil it for anyone. So if you're out there and you're getting this, I'm not going to say anything about what I felt the flavors were of each 5 of these blends, but I will say that I used the tongue flavor wheel or flavor map to understand where it was playing on my tongue. And then obviously I did the retrohale thing and tried to write down as many things as possible that came to mind. And I will say that it does change for me as the cigar continues through. I feel like I get different flavors at different points. And I think that's another interesting part of this. So it's not monotone. It
That's
does
part of the
change.
effect, because there's
Yeah.
still good cigars. There's still good cigars to smoke, regardless. So they develop, they progress, they change some flavor, just like any cigar that you like. But how does the binder affect those changes? How does it affect the combustibility of the leaf? How does it affect the way that the cigar smokes? Is there more smoke? Is there less smoke? Is it, are you feeling, a lot of different aspects that have to do with that you can recognize. But again, there's no issue with you sharing what you feel and think about these different cigars. It's not a spoiler or anything like that. Actually, at first we thought maybe not to include what kind of different components we put beforehand. Only we thought about putting it in an envelope that after you experience it, you can look. But we decided that it's actually better for you to know what you're looking to smoke, and you can expect a little bit of a difference between this and that. And the Dominican versus the Nicaraguan, you probably knew that that's going to be the most extreme change, and it was, and it fit your expectations, but maybe it wouldn't have, and you'd be more surprised. So it's all these things. It's all about really just experiencing it and enjoying it. You can't spoil it to someone else because everybody has a different palate, so it's not going to be what you get can be different, and that's the beauty of this kind of experience, is that it's individual to you.
Absolutely. Ben, do you guys have a Facebook page for Luxury Cigar Club where people can go and comment on this? Or is there like a Reddit where this is already being kind of discussed? Of like,
We do have a Facebook page. Sorry, we do have a Facebook page. It's Luxury Cigar Club. Everybody's welcome to come follow us and communicate. We didn't open a specific. We should probably open a specific page for this to discuss. Of course, everybody is welcome to follow us on Instagram. where some discussion is being held about this and some of the posts that are regarding this. And if you're a member and you're not on Discord, that is really where you should be to discuss these things. And so if you're a member and you're not there, just reach out either through Instagram or Facebook or any other way, email, and we'll send you the link to come join us.
Oh, sweet. So you guys can then communicate on Discord what this is doing for those that have bought it.
Yep.
I love that. Yeah, that's the one thing that I would recommend, obviously, is I love to then hear what other people are experiencing. So I love the fact that, if Discord's the spot, great. Reach out to Luxury Cigar Club, get on Discord, make sure you're commenting and understanding what other people are interested in or what other people are experiencing out of this, because I think that's part of the community, right? Cigars are a community cultural thing. And this is
Absolutely.
awesome. So really appreciate it. I know we're approaching that 30-minute mark, and I'm super thankful. Nimmer, thank you for doing this project with Luxury Cigar Club, falling on the sword and kind of taking that for us so that we can actually have this cool experience. And then to Ben, thank you guys over at Luxury Cigar Club for bringing this. I mean, nowhere else have I seen this. And Ben, I called you up right away when I saw it, and I was like, this is amazing. We got to definitely do something with this, because I've been wanting to do something like this, but it's a tall order to ask somebody to put this together for you. So hats off to you guys. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Awesome.
It's definitely our pleasure.
You guys know where to follow Luxury Cigar Club, luxurycigarclub.com and valakariscigars.com if you want to check out more of their blends. As always, thank you for joining me this Friday. We're going to be here every Friday doing a live, and comments below, we will definitely check those out. Thank you again. See you all next Friday. Have a good weekend.